Financial literacy has not been a strong suit of the US education system. And while strides are being made to address this problem, I'm here to share some important lessons I learned outside the classroom that might help guide you on your financial journey. Number 1, you can make more as an entrepreneur than as an employee. In school, the focus is often on preparing students to become employees rather than entrepreneurs. While this is a valuable and necessary path for many people, it is important to recognize that there are alternative routes to financial success. Think of a teenage boy's lawn mowing business. He can mow the lawn himself, or he can pay his friends 50% of what he charges to mow lawns and spend his time getting other neighbors to hire him. If he gets 4 times the client base and pays his employees half, he makes double what he was making before. By starting your own business or pursuing entrepreneurial ventures, you have the potential to earn significantly more money, sometimes 10 or 100 times more than what may be possible as an employee. Number 2, understand the real cost of spending. When you make unnecessary purchases, you spend what you could have saved to get out of the rat race and gain financial independence. If you can save $500 a month, but reduce your savings to only $100 by unnecessarily spending $400, it will take you 5 times longer to reach financial independence. The true cost of something is not what you spend on it. It is your necessary expenses to live plus the cost of the item. Do not spend unnecessarily without first calculating its true cost. Number 3, degrees can be a poor return on investment. While obtaining a college degree may have been the traditional route to employment success in the past, it is no longer the only path to differentiation in today's job market. The average degree costs around $100,000 and takes 4 years to finish. I would argue that other things cost 1/100th of the price and time you spent on that degree that add more perceived credibility to your name. Pursuing certifications, seeking mentorship from prominent industry figures, writing a book, engaging in public speaking, starting a nonprofit related to your field, or contributing to media publications all can be effective strategies. While a degree is necessary in certain fields, there are much better investments that lend credibility and differentiation. Number 4, your resume is not as important as you think. We are taught that our resume is the most important thing, which simply is not true. Your network is significantly more important. If you know the right people who believe in you, they can vouch for you to an employer and you will get a chance at a job, even if you do not have the resume for it. Number 5, authenticity is king. In today's world, we are trained to tiptoe around certain topics, especially with professional relationships. But I believe being authentic improves long-term earnings, even if it means talking about controversial topics. Some of my best paying clients and deepest relationships come from people I did not see eye to eye with. As long as you walk with humility, share what is on your heart, you'd be surprised at how far authenticity goes in today's world. The path to financial and professional success is not linear and certainly not one size fits all. I hope these 5 lessons help you prosper in your financial journey.
Here are 5 steps to catch up your investing if you feel behind. Before increasing your investment contributions, it's important to understand how your investments fit into your overall well-being. Here are my 5 key steps based on the acronym CRUSH to reevaluate your investing strategy. These helped me become a debt-free millionaire in my 30s. The letter C in CRUSH stands for Curate Your Accounts. 55% of Americans with recurring payments don't know exactly how much is automatically taken out of their account each month. Here are some scenarios that I see most often with my financial education students that can help you curate your accounts. You can consolidate investment accounts such as old 401ks into one individual retirement account. You can roll over your old 401k into your current 401k for simplicity. You can also review the expense ratios and fees of your investment accounts. You can close brokerage accounts if you're not fully maximizing tax advantage accounts to their IRS limits. And we can look for forgotten investment accounts. I also commonly see students using brokerage accounts to invest in the same things they could do within an account like a Roth IRA and save more on taxes. So by curating accounts down to the ones you can increase your focus on, it becomes less overwhelming to grow the amount of money to invest. Now the R in Crush is to reverse into your financial independence number. The FIRE movement can help you clarify how much you need to invest and provide tangible steps to move forward, even if it's a little at a time. Your FIRE number is calculated based on 2 retirement strategies used by traditional financial planners: the 25X rule and the 4% rule. When my students first calculate this number, they can get overwhelmed because it's likely in the millions if you are living even a modest lifestyle in the United States. The goal of FIRE is to have 25 times your annual expenses in investments, where you only withdraw 4% of the total each year. While you take out your living expenses, the investments are also replenishing that money through compound interest or growing in value with your dividends. The point of the number is not to discourage you. It is to help give you a general direction of how aggressive you want to be with your approach and to identify the gap you need to fill between where you are now and where you want to aim. The U in Crush is to understand your net worth. I taught thousands of students since starting my financial education company in 2020, and the vast majority could not answer this question. What is your net worth? Your net worth is calculated by taking the monetary value of everything that you own and subtracting out the monetary value of everything that you owe. That includes credit card debt, car loans, mortgages, student loans, and other forms of debt. I teach all of my students to track all of their finances in one system to reduce the busy work of updating manual spreadsheets. In very simplistic terms, your new investment plan starts by closing the gap between your FIRE number and what your current net worth is. For example, if your FIRE number is $1.2 million and your current net worth is $200,000, the idea is that you will need to move toward building investments of $1 million. Having this general idea of where I was financially helped me to take steps forward to increase my overall net worth. So for example, I started paying off my car, I refinanced my mortgage to a lower term from 30 years to 15 years, I closed any savings accounts that weren't a high-yield savings account, and I paid off credit card balances under $1,000 and limited myself to just 2 credit cards. Understanding your net worth may also help you identify areas where you can save money now to lower the amount you need to invest in the long term. That brings us to S, and that is to spend intentionally. If you want to catch up on your investments, decide ahead of time how much you will invest each month and put it at the top of your budget versus putting it last on your priority list. So many people think they don't need a budget because they don't have extra money. Until I learned how to do a zero-based budget, I thought leftover money was a good thing. But people often plan for the expenses they have, thinking they'll send any additional funds to their investments. The intention is great, but when you take that approach, you usually get to the end of the month without any funds left over. Getting on a consistent budget every month helped me and my husband free up more cash flow to maximize our contributions annually. We now contribute more than $50,000 a year to our retirement when we were contributing closer to $6,000 before budgeting. So rather than waiting for possible leftovers, allocate all the money you have coming in, including the amount you want to invest before the month even begins. If you're doing your budget correctly, you should have no leftover money in your plan, with every dollar being allocated to an intentional line item. And the last letter, H, is to heal your money wounds. As a financial coach, I learned most people don't invest not for lack of knowledge, but because of the fear of losing money. And that fear is not irrational. It's often based on past traumatic experiences with finances, like losing money in past investments, getting fired or laid off, going through a tough divorce, having a medical emergency that caused financial stress, or growing up in a family with financial challenges. I grew up in a household where money was always a cause of arguments, and truthfully, my family never taught me how to invest. The emphasis was always on having a high salary and a good job title. I was also worried to invest more because at first, when I started my career during the financial crisis in 2008, I was a human resource professional in the banking industry in New York. So I saw firsthand how people lost their sense of financial security. I started going to therapy consistently each month at the same time I started my financial journey. And I would argue it's been the best investment I've made to my financial future. Investing has inherent risks, and I only started investing more aggressively when I felt emotionally and mentally prepared for any potential losses. By talking to a licensed professional about the past experiences that formed the fears I had around money, it helped me to move past them and take more risk in investing over time.
How much money do you need? In a 2023 study, millennials reported needing to earn $525,000 a year to be happy. Notably, this is significantly more than the national median income of that age group, which is approximately $81,000 a year. It's also significantly more than any other age group cited. In fact, $525,000 is wildly out of step with the median income for any generation, in any state. The actual percentage of the US population who earns more than $500,000 per year, less than 1%. Achieving an income of $525,000 is commendable, and there are certainly millennials in the US who have achieved this financial milestone. However, blindly pursuing such a lofty goal, especially one that is realistically unattainable for most, could quickly become disempowering. A better approach would be to consider your own personal financial situation and run the numbers to determine what you really need to earn to achieve your personal financial goals. Just for fun, let's contextualize the lifestyle that a $525,000 income enables. At an income of $525,000, a married filing jointly taxpayer would land in the highest marginal tax rate of 35%, with an effective tax rate of 23%. And for simplicity, let's ignore state and local taxes for now. After tax, the net take-home is just over $400,000 annually, or roughly $33,500 per month. So let's start with housing. In a healthy budget, housing expenses should consume no more than about 28% of gross pre-tax income. A $525,000 annual income would allow for a monthly housing spend of just over $12,000. Payments on a 30-year, $1 million mortgage at today's mortgage rate of 6.7% run a little under $6,500 per month, leaving more than enough room for all other housing expenses, such as property taxes, HOA, PMI insurance, maintenance expenses, and homeowners insurance. The average home sales price in the Northeast, the most expensive housing region in the US, recently reached its highest value ever at a little over $1 million. Now, assuming you put even 5% down on the purchase, an income of $525,000 would comfortably afford an above-average home in the most expensive housing market in the country, and a high-end home in most other locations. Now let's include student loans, since the millennial generation has the unenviable distinction as the age cohort with the highest average student loan debt. The state with the highest average student loan balance is Washington, D.C. at just under $55,000. At a 6% interest rate and 10-year term, monthly payments equate to just under $1,100 per month. And millennials who have young children will also need to add childcare costs to the mix, which can equal a mortgage payment all on their own. Daycares in expensive or heavily populated areas can exceed $3,000 per month for one child. Add in the requisite 20% of gross income for long-term retirement savings and 10% of after-tax income for short-term savings, and you reduce cash flow by another $12,000 every month. So putting it all together, a household with an annual income of $525,000, student loan payments, one child in daycare, and living in a very high cost of living area is left with a generous $5,200, or 15% of after-tax monthly income for everything else. So what do we learn after breaking down these costs? While an income of $525,000 could be a genuine necessity for some, it's certainly not needed for most. And while there are certainly good reasons for millennials' general sense of financial malaise, soaring student loans and housing prices chief among them, it's critical to dig into the numbers and take control of your personal financial situation.
Don't sell a candidate the job. Tell them why they might not want it. In today's job market, filled with overly positive job descriptions and lofty career promises, this strategy could be more effective. By addressing the challenges and tough aspects right from the start, you prevent future disappointments and avoid the risk of overselling the position. This approach, inspired by Sir Ernest Shackleton's straightforward recruitment style over a century ago, focuses on setting realistic expectations rather than deterring applicants. Here are the benefits of brutal honesty in recruitment. First, it could help attract the right fit. Clear communication of a role's challenges help match the job with the right people, those who are resilient and a good fit for the position's demands. Second, being upfront about the difficulties of a job can build trust with the candidates from the start. Candidates actually appreciate transparency, viewing it as a sign of respect and integrity, fundamental qualities of any good workplace. Leaning into an honest approach can also enhance engagement. When people start a job with a full understanding of what to expect, they are more committed and better prepared to handle challenges. To implement a Shackleton strategy in your recruitment, consider making some changes in how you recruit. First, write job descriptions that are more honest about both the benefits and the demands of the role. And when interviewing a candidate, discuss potential challenges openly to secure that the candidate is ready and fit. And don't forget to check that a candidate's values align with those of your company, which is key to long-term success. Shackleton's strategy of embracing realism helps us remember that resilience and honesty are crucial, especially when navigating complexities of modern business. When you stop selling jobs and instead focusing on presenting them as they truly are, you don't just fill positions, you build strong teams ready to face whatever comes their way.
Executives are wondering, how do I change my operating model to quickly generate value and results from generative AI? The wealth of possibilities and their organizational implications can be overwhelming. However, there's a difference between pockets of experimentation and a scalable, organization-wide approach that achieves tangible results. To bridge the gap, it's important for executives first to distinguish between two types of value. The first being new businesses or changes to customer offering, and the second being operational changes to support the existing business. The biggest potential sources of value lie in building new businesses and evolving the customer offering. From an operating model standpoint, this often requires dedicated, multidisciplinary teams with enough distance from the core business and a clear sandbox where they can break rules and move fast. In some instances, this may also require a more formal executive-led program where decisions can be escalated and resolved quickly. Companies in highly regulated industries, such as financial services, understandably tend to shy away from the break rules part, opting instead for greater oversight on businesses that hold promise. Scaling a new customer use case can involve small contributions from hundreds of people. Accomplishing that kind of reprioritization and alignment quickly can only be done with top-down sponsorship. However, most of the discussion around generative AI today is not about building new businesses or customer offerings, but about how technology will change existing operations and reshape the workforce. Only 4 of 27 industries expect net job loss as a result of AI, according to an August 2023 World Economic Forum study. Respondents surveyed for that study believe only an additional 9% of operational tasks will be automated in the next 5 years, supporting the idea that AI is more likely to augment jobs than replace them. Of course, the actual effect will be felt unevenly across capabilities and roles. At one energy company, an AI assistant to support service agents was able to reduce customer handling time by 17%. Other use cases far exceed the averages. And done right, becoming more digital should always mean becoming more human. So how can organizations evolve to capture the most value? Adapting the operating model for work augmented by generative AI is similar to any other technology adoption. Changing the work means editing job descriptions, supporting skill development for new tools, and redesigning processes. Take an entry-level job, say a junior engineer. The engineer is still accountable for creating code that performs as intended, but the day-to-day role may be more about code review and synthesis than code development. That frees up more time for the engineer to explore customer experience improvements or groundbreaking product features. Process redesign is often overlooked or undervalued in technology adoption because of limited collaboration between the business and technology teams. It's imperative to have close partnership across technology, data science, and business teams to reduce friction and make it easier to change the way that work is done. While many companies have engaged in isolated pilots and scattered experimentation, few have progressed to a structured, scalable, enterprise-wide approach that delivers real value. In the next stage of adoption, the ability to adapt the operating model for generative AI will separate the best from the rest. For leaders who are moving fast with generative AI, the results are starting to show.
In the past few years, flexibility has increased for many desk jobs to be performed from home without a commute into an office. But the trend is expected to reverse. Many people in my financial coaching classes started to look for new opportunities after being required to return to the office. Here are 3 other reasons this year is a unique time to start that business you've been waiting to launch. Number 1, real estate isn't as easy to invest in as before. Many people relied on real estate appreciation as a driver of wealth in the past decade, when interest rates were low and many cities offered low prices that not only increased net worth as primary residences, but fueled the trend of house flipping and short-term rentals. New homeowners are now paying over $2,300 on average for monthly mortgage payments due to higher interest rates and rising home prices. If you're currently renting or holding on to a low mortgage rate on your current home, 2024 is a great year to shift your attention toward building wealth in other asset classes, in particular starting a business to fuel additional cash flow. Number 2, stashing away cash makes you a strong competitor. Many new entrepreneurs stall from starting or scaling their businesses because they believe they need debt to scale quickly. Though seed-funded technology companies often grab headlines, the majority of small business owners use their own savings to start or to expand their companies. 2023 also had the highest number of bankruptcy filings since 2010. With many companies already announcing layoffs, this year presents a unique opportunity for you if you have cash set aside to be able to compete in industries where high debt is driving the current players to scale down operations. In particular, if you are able to offer a product or service at a lower price point, you may be able to capture those business clients who are looking to save more money in their operations. And lastly, investors are eager and easier to find than ever before. Accredited investors defined by the SEC as meeting certain income or net worth requirements can already earn 5% or higher in online savings accounts and certificates of deposit with little to no risk. This has caused a shift from placing money in riskier stocks to looking for a new home to park their cash. These interest rates are great for savers, but they have also wreaked havoc on some investors' portfolios whose money was put into high-debt companies in 2023. If you don't have your own cash, the good news is there are many resources where startup cash is available if you're willing to put in the sweat equity. Pitch competitions, accelerator programs, angel investors, and venture capital conferences are easy to find by looking through local event listings and for entities interested in founders from underrepresented communities. While starting a business often requires more hours in the beginning to get you up and running, it can offer you financial freedom faster than being capped by your employer's salary. While there's never a perfect time to start a business, this year's expected economic environment might work more in your favor than you think.
Many people are interested in building generational wealth to provide an easier, more carefree life for their family through financial stability. With these 6 steps, you too can begin to build generational wealth for your loved ones. You'll first want to get comfortable talking about money. Many families have a complicated relationship with money, and this can lead to money being a bit of a taboo topic. If you want to foster a healthy relationship with money in the next generation of your family, it's important to embrace the topic, provide lessons, and share your experience. Children get cues from their parents about how to feel about money. Personal finance lessons can be as small as offering your child a weekly allowance and helping them with budgeting for the things they want and need instead of buying whatever they ask for. Make a plan to actively invest for the future. Many wealthy people I meet have done big things, like build a company from the ground to eventually sell it and then sit in cash. It's understandable to want to protect what you've worked so hard to grow over time, but remaining in cash over many years is an easy way to lose purchasing power and diminish that wealth. Instead of holding the sales proceeds without reinvestment, invest funds with a goal in mind. Is the goal to grow money as much as possible, to pass it to the next generation? If it is, you may have a portfolio that's more heavily invested in stocks, which tend to appreciate significantly over time. It's ideal to only have enough cash for 3 to 6 months of emergency reserved and for planned major purchases within 2 years. Equally important is to use debt responsibly. Like teaching your child about budgeting, encouraging your child to have a healthy relationship with debt can do wonders for wealth creation. Speaking with your child about different lines of credit, what they mean, and keeping your own utilization low can be very impactful. When your children turn 18 years old, talk to them about opening a credit card for college to responsibly pay off regularly. If they'll need school loans, walk them through the applications, explaining implications of the interest rates and directing them to resources to learn more. It also helps to have an estate plan. Estate planning is the process whereby individuals decide how their assets will be managed or distributed in the event of incapacitation or death. Having an updated and funded estate plan can allow not only the most wealth to pass to the next generation, but it also protects families from the arduous and painful process that is probate. Consult a qualified estate planning attorney to prepare your plan. You may also want to consider using life insurance. Life insurance provides a tax-free benefit for the next generation in the event of your death. Even if you haven't been able to accumulate many assets for your heirs during your life, the death benefit from a life insurance policy can create wealth for you where none existed before. And lastly, remember to use laws in your favor. Tax and estate laws are subject to change, but there are many ways that people can optimize what goes to the next generation. Currently, when you die, some of the least tax-efficient assets for your heirs would be pre-tax retirement accounts. Most heirs of a retirement account will be forced to distribute assets within 10 years and pay those associated income taxes. When I speak with people, I encourage them to plan to spend down their pre-tax retirement accounts during life, and if they have assets they want to pass on, considering their non-retirement investments. Investment portfolios and properties will both receive a step-up in basis upon death, meaning that the heir's tax basis in the asset is equal to the value of the asset at death. This means that the heir would be responsible for no capital gains taxes if that person sold the asset immediately at the date of death value. It can be difficult to know where to start when it comes to creating generational wealth, but by using these 6 steps, you can help prepare your family for a more financially stable future.
You will die. I will too. It sounds morbid, but it's inevitable. Just as you prepare for life's significant events, it is equally crucial to anticipate your eventual departure and protect your loved ones from the burden of financial complications. Here are 4 essential questions to gauge how ready you are for death. Question 1. Do you have a comprehensive estate plan? An estate plan ensures that your assets are distributed according to your wishes. Without a will or living trust, there's a risk that the state might decide the allocation of your assets, potentially leading to undesirable outcomes. When selecting beneficiaries and executors, it's crucial to choose individuals who are equipped to handle the responsibilities ethically and professionally. Situations can arise before your passing where others need to make financial or health decisions on your behalf. In such cases, having a power of attorney or healthcare proxy is invaluable, assuring you that decisions are made by trusted individuals that are aligned with your desires. Question 2. Have you assessed your life insurance coverage? Life insurance is a crucial financial safety net, providing necessary support to loved ones in the wake of your passing. Regularly reviewing and understanding the specifics of your existing policies ensures that they remain pertinent and adequate. The coverage should not only cater to posthumous expenses, but also provide sustained support, especially if you are a primary contributor to your family's income. The world of life insurance offers a variety of products, each tailored to different needs and goals. Depending on personal circumstances and objectives, you may consider options ranging from term life to whole life insurance or other specialized insurance products. Question 3, have you accounted for end-of-life expenses? For instance, funeral costs, medical bills, and outstanding debts and taxes can add to your family's financial burden. Given the extensive nature of these expenses, it's imperative to take proactive steps. One approach is to set aside dedicated savings. For others, specialized products like prepaid funeral plans or burial insurance can be more feasible. These not only allow for payments to be spread out over time, but also often come with the added advantage of price locks, insulating you from inflation. Question 4, have you communicated your financial plans to loved ones? Maintaining transparency about your intentions prevents confusion or potential conflicts after your death. Discuss with your family and other trusted individuals about your financial arrangements so that they know where to find crucial documents such as wills, insurance policies, and other relevant records. After you've assessed your financial preparedness, it's essential to address any gaps or deficiencies. Consulting with financial advisors or estate planning attorneys can offer expert insight, ensuring every aspect of your end-of-life financial planning is considered and optimized. It's always early enough to begin planning.
Roughly 70% of Americans have financial regrets from 2023, according to a Credit Karma study. The most common one is not saving money. But one principle completely transformed my money habits and helped me become a debt-free millionaire. In 1906 Italy, Vilfredo Pareto noticed that most of his precious peas would perish, except for a small portion. More specifically, he noted how 20% of his crop produced 80% of his harvest. Pareto extended this principle to macroeconomics, showing that 80% of the wealth in Italy was owned by just 20% of the population. His concept is now known as the Pareto Principle, or the 80-20 rule. I like to refer to it as the rule of world peas. The 80-20 rule helps you position your habit building, especially if you are a perfectionist or an overthinker. The habit is simple in theory, but hard in practice. Figure out how 20% of your time and efforts can yield 80% of the results in your money goals. Here's how you can apply the principle of world peas to your money habits in 3 different ways. The first way is to apply the 80-20 rule to look at your finances in the same way that Pareto looked at his peas. Instead of dedicating too much time on accounts with minimal return, prioritize the 20% with the greatest potential gain. For example, you could identify your best 20% of assets or investments that will most likely grow. You could also shift your focus to increase savings in your retirement accounts instead of just collecting credit card rewards. This principle can also apply to prioritizing attention in your monthly budget. If you are like me and consistently overspend on food, set aside other priorities this month and focus that extra 20% of energy on how you shop, plan, and prepare your meals. Practice this for the next few months until you figure out a sustainable routine. The second way to apply the 80-20 rule is to identify the 20% of the money accounts causing 80% of your sleepless nights. Eliminating these could reshape the trajectory of your financial future. In the 1940s, Dr. Joseph Duran, an operations management researcher, found that 80% of product defects resulted from 20% of problems in production methods. I look at these as the squeaky wheels in your financial plan that are causing you the most stress. Rather than chipping away at these little by little, focus on getting rid of them for good. Maybe it's recurring bills or that debt that you've avoided, and focus on reducing it. Perhaps you feel like you don't have enough in savings. Now's the time to make those accounts your top 20% and reduce 80% of your stress. When applying the 80-20 rule in the first year I pursued financial independence, I focused my efforts on paying down debt. Reducing my debt was the top 20% priority of my overall financial plan. It got the vast majority of my attention for a whole year, while setting aside my other goals like saving for retirement or going on vacations. It seemed like a hard year, but in hindsight, trading that intense focus to pay off $72,000 of student loans in 1 year instead of a decade meant that I never had stress about that kind of debt again. Applying the rule this way challenges you to focus on the best financial results, specifically if you're newly learning about finances or you're not sure or are worried about investing. The last way to apply the 80-20 rule as a money habit is to repeat this: 80% is good enough. Perfectionists never become financially free. I often coach very smart, incredibly capable people who stop moving forward with their financial freedom plans because they have an all or nothing mentality. Expecting that you'll be 100% perfect is unrealistic in personal finance and a path toward failure. As you try new habits to move your financial freedom plan forward, remember the 80-20 rule. If you can only do 80%, consider that good enough, or perhaps even great.
Tax season can be a stressful time, and filing mistakes can come back to haunt you years later when the IRS comes to collect. Here are 6 common tax filing mistakes and how to avoid them. Mistake number 1, missing deadlines. At the end of the day, some people will not be able to file their taxes in April. Maybe they don't have all their documents together, haven't funded all the necessary plans, or they've just procrastinated. That's all fine if you file for an extension, but if you fail to file your taxes and fail to file for an extension, the penalties are severe. If you file your taxes even a week late, there is an IRS penalty of 5% of your unpaid taxes. If you end up filing and paying your taxes 5 months after the due date, you'd owe a 25% penalty plus interest. And if you've got a large tax bill that you're not able to pay when you file, consider avoiding penalties by applying for a payment plan that you can afford. Be aware of rounding and math errors. Depending on how you file your taxes, you might have access to tools that assist you with identifying math errors. However, if you're calculating by hand or using a calculator, make sure to double check your work. My own accountant has also advised me not to round numbers at all when it comes to calculating things like itemized deductions. He says that perfectly rounded numbers can appear to the IRS as if the numbers are not accurate, which can be a red flag leading to audit. Overlooking credits and deductions is another common mistake. I find that when people speed through their taxes, they often miss opportunities to save money on deductions and credits. If you have a child, have low to middle income, have saved for retirement, have made a green purchase, or are currently paying for college, there could be tax credits that you are overlooking. The 4th mistake is failure to report all income, gains, and losses. In an ideal world, every company who you have taxable gains or income with will send you a form stating the exact amount taxable to you. Many companies do, but not every possible source that you receive income or capital gains from will send you a 1099 or W-2 at the end of the year. Especially in the gig economy, more and more people earn small incomes from multiple sources. This does not mean that you can avoid paying taxes on that money or that the IRS won't eventually find out. For gains reporting, a safe rule is that you've sold a stock or other asset, there is a taxable event. This goes for cryptocurrency transactions, collectibles, and anything else that you sell at a profit. Recording your transactions on your taxes is also important when it comes to selling assets at a loss. Let's say that you invested in a stock and that stock completely tanked. If you put in 20 grand and the stock went to $0, you can take that loss and write it against other gains, either this year or in the future. Being able to offset gains with losses could mean the difference between owing a huge tax bill and owing nothing. Problems can also arise should you fail to keep accurate records. If you're choosing to itemize your deductions, it is critical to keep records. Let's say you have business expenses that you're writing off, which include corporate dinners, all on one credit card that you use for both personal and business expenses. It's not good enough to go through and highlight each expense on your credit card that was for business at the end of the year. If you were to be audited, your auditor would want to see receipts for specific business dinners and what purpose they served. I personally keep secure digital folders with both Excel sheets tracking my expenses and soft copies of each receipt to be safe. And the final mistake is not seeking professional help when needed. I wish I had found my accountant earlier in my career. Would have saved myself the annual headache of filing taxes on my own. If you find filing your taxes to be increasingly difficult, you itemize your deductions, you always end up owing significant amounts of money, or you've made a filing mistake in the past, it may be time to consider seeking professional help. I hope that with this information, you can get through tax season easily and spend your energy on things that enrich your life.
A prevailing concern amongst recruiters is the belief that former entrepreneurs are simply waiting for the next big idea, making them risky hires. The fact is, not all former entrepreneurs pose a higher quitting risk than regular recruits. Most former entrepreneurs bring a wealth of experience to the table, including strategic planning for major projects, securing funding, building and managing teams, and tackling complex business challenges. It's worth noting that 90% of all startups fail, which means these individuals have likely navigated very tough times and learned valuable lessons along the way. Moreover, a former entrepreneur who once competed with your company, no matter the size of their venture, it's likely that they have conducted thorough research on your business and industry. This insight can be invaluable, helping your company outmaneuver competitors. In addition to their strategic acumen, former entrepreneurs often excel in talent management and they are great leaders. They understand the importance of assembling a strong team and are good in making tough decisions, such as when to let underperforming employees go. Given the autonomy to recruit their own team and make key departmental choices, they're poised to excel in their roles. Their confidence in management is often grounded in real-world business experiences, setting them apart from managers who may rely more heavily on theoretical knowledge and might be prone to indecision. Research published by Personal Psychology argues that the timing of prior entrepreneurial experience relative to a current employment opportunity is a crucial indicator for finding out between those who are more likely to quit and those who are not. For instance, an individual who recently exited a startup is less likely to have developed the intention and desire to embark on a new entrepreneurial venture, compared to someone whose startup experience was maybe further in the past. This difference in timing significantly influences their likelihood of quitting their current job. These findings challenge the stereotype that all former entrepreneurs are risky hires, underscoring the importance of considering the timing of the entrepreneurial experience. As the business world continues to evolve, Embracing diverse skills and experiences of former entrepreneurs could be a key strategy for fostering innovation and growth.
Navigating the intricacies of business finances and taxes can be a daunting task for new entrepreneurs, and certain common mistakes may unknowingly cost you significant money. Here are 4 mistakes I made as an entrepreneur and how to avoid them as you prepare your tax return and proactively plan for a less stressful tax year in 2024. Mistake number 1, forgetting startup expenses. The IRS provides guidelines on how businesses can deduct startup costs from their federal taxes. Like many entrepreneurs, I was completely unaware that I could claim business expenses on my tax return for costs incurred before the official launch of my company. For example, startup costs could include things like surveys of potential new markets or products, ads to promote your business before it opens, pay for employees being trained, or travel to meet with potential partners. Researching and understanding the eligibility criteria for these deductions can provide a significant boost to your initial tax returns. Mistake number 2, skipping quarterly tax payments. Unlike traditional employees who have taxes held from each paycheck, self-employed individuals are responsible for paying taxes on a quarterly basis. I'm embarrassed to say this, but I did not know this in my first year of business. I was surprised to learn that failure to pay quarterly can result in penalties and interest. Individuals, including sole proprietors, partners, and S-corporation shareholders, generally must make estimated tax payments if they expect to owe tax of $1,000 or more when their return is filed, according to the IRS. Understanding the quarterly tax schedule and setting aside a portion of your income for these payments is essential for staying in compliance with tax regulations and then avoiding a stressed-out scramble come tax time. And don't miss out on retirement deductions. When I first left my corporate job to pursue entrepreneurship, I was not aware that I could fund my own 401k through my business. It was never mentioned in the various entrepreneurial communities I joined, nor by my tax advisor as a strategy for how to save more money. Contributions to retirement plans, such as IRAs or 401ks, not only offer immediate tax benefits, they can also help you to retire early from your business if you don't want to work into old age. In 2023, I contributed the maximum IRS limit as an individual of $22,500 into my own 401k with the addition of a company match and a profit sharing that I also funded. All of this money not only helps me save for retirement, but it reduces my taxable income and saves me several thousands of dollars in taxes. You do need to produce enough income to make these contributions worthwhile, but simply putting money into an IRA during your early years can help buy you retirement years even earlier. Even if you're not making a huge income today, knowing what your options are can be a motivational boost to grow your business revenue. The last major mistake, doing your own bookkeeping. Many new entrepreneurs don't have extra money to spare, but engaging a qualified bookkeeper will save you time, mitigate errors, and ensure compliance with tax laws, potentially saving you thousands of dollars in the long run. I did my own bookkeeping for the first 4 years of my business in an attempt to save money, and even though I am a money coach, it doesn't mean that I am well versed in the tax code. Nor does it mean that I enjoy categorizing hundreds of expenses in an accounting software system. Your time and energy as an entrepreneur are likely more valuable when prospecting new clients or improving operations. At the very least, you will free up more time to spend with those friends and family members who you don't get to see as often when you are scaling your business.
Many of us have heard that getting married comes with all sorts of tax benefits. But there are some unique cases where married filing separately makes sense for one or both spouses. Here's why. First, consider itemized deductions. In some cases where one spouse has significant itemized deductions and medical expenses, above 7.5% of their adjusted gross income, couples can save tax money by using a separate filing status. One spouse itemizing will result in the other's inability to take the standard deduction. Basically, the total itemized deductions between the two spouses would have to be higher than $27,700 for it to make sense not to file using the standard deduction jointly. It's important to work closely with your tax professional to find the tax status that makes the most sense for you, given your income level deductions, and expenses. In another example, consider student loans. For public servants eligible for student loan forgiveness, after a specified number of qualified payments, getting married might result in some difficulty. Qualified repayment methods, including pay-as-you-earn, income-driven repayment, income contingent repayment, all will consider just your income if you choose married filing separately. But if you elect married filing jointly, both your income and your spouse's income together are considered. If your spouse is a high earner, this could result in much higher payments before having your remaining balance forgiven. It's important to work with both your loan servicer and your tax professional to find out the best way to minimize taxes and maximize the amount forgiven. And finally, you may want to consider filing separately if there's a lack of trust. State laws vary slightly, but when you file your federal tax returns jointly, you and your spouse have joint and several liability. This means that if one person can't pay an individual portion of the couple's taxes, the partner is on the hook for the entire bill. This applies to penalties associated with fraud, late filing, or understatement of taxes due. If you suspect your spouse of tax evasion or tax fraud, the married filing separately status may offer some protections on a federal level. If you are in this position, it's important to work closely with your tax advisor and potentially even involve an attorney to understand the laws surrounding your situation. Overall, the married filing separately tax status has some special cases where filing this way may make sense. It is an uncommon filing status, so it's important to understand its nuances as well as specific advantages and disadvantages. Working with a qualified tax professional is essential to optimize your taxes and put you in the best financial position.
5 common budgeting methods that can build financial security. Effective budgeting helps fulfill immediate financial obligations and can also lay the groundwork for long-term financial security and independence. Here are 5 simple methods you can start today. The envelope system is a cash-based budgeting technique where monthly expense categories are allocated specific cash amounts in separate envelopes. This approach limits spending to the amount available in each envelope to prevent overspending. The primary advantage of this system is its simplicity and the tangible control you have over your cash flow. However, its reliance on physical cash can pose limitations in today's digital economy where online transactions are the norm. Then there's zero-based budgeting, where you assign every dollar of income to specific categories until there's no unallocated income left. This method fosters a high level of discipline and accountability as it forces you to justify every expense and savings goal. But it may prove useful to those looking to build a strong financial foundation from the start. However, the rigidity and the intensive planning this method requires can be daunting for those with fluctuating incomes. Percentage-based budgeting, on the other hand, simplifies financial management by dividing income into fixed percentages for various categories. A common example of a percentage allocation is the 50-30-20 rule. You spend 50% of your budget for household expenses and needs, such as rent, utilities, groceries, and insurance, 30% for discretionary spending, such as vacations, dining out, or watching a movie, and 20% on savings and investments, such as retirement accounts or an emergency fund. This method offers flexibility, as you can easily adapt to changes in financial circumstances while ensuring a balanced approach to spending and saving by altering your percentage allocations as you need. The fourth strategy is simply pay yourself first. Pay yourself first puts the importance of saving first by allocating a portion of income to savings and investments before covering any other expenses. It promotes financial security and growth and allows you to leave room to spend on things you enjoy. You can set up automatic transfers to your savings accounts or investment funds to ensure that the pay yourself first principle is consistently applied. making saving a seamless part of your financial management. This strategy is most effective if you have a stable income and control over your spending, as it requires a sufficient financial cushion to accommodate upfront savings. And finally, we have priority-based budgeting, which ranks expenses according to their importance and allocates funds based on these priorities. This method allows for flexibility in budgeting and adapting to changing financial circumstances and priorities. The ability to focus on spending on what is most important to you or your family makes this method appealing. However, it requires discipline and clarity regarding financial goals to be effective. Furthermore, the subjective nature of determining priorities can lead to inconsistent budgeting practices or neglecting long-term goals in favor of immediate desires. No matter which method you choose, adopting a proactive approach to budgeting is crucial for achieving financial well-being. By carefully selecting and applying appropriate budgeting strategies, you can take control of your financial future, ensuring stability, growth, and peace of mind.
According to a 2021 study, 15% of all investors started in 2020. Here are a few common mistakes both new and seasoned investors make that can cost you thousands of dollars, but are easy to avoid. The first common mistake I see is basing investment decisions on interest rates instead of actual dollars. A common trap that people fall into is that they're often told by financial advisors that the interest rate on their debt is low, but the return on investments like stocks is higher. So it seems like simple math to compare interest rates and investing versus paying off debt. But when you actually plug in dollar amounts, you might be losing more money than you think. Some of my millennial peers have carried their student loans into middle age and might even do so into retirement. Borrowers ages 35 to 49 make up the highest number of people owing more than $100,000. In 2016, 2 months after completing graduate school, I decided that I would pay off $72,000 of student loans in 2 years instead of 10. I used a student loan interest calculator and I learned that my loans had an average interest rate of 4% and they were accruing $7.92 daily. I was shocked because I thought the interest accrued monthly was more like my savings account. But I also realized that as a beginner investor with only a few $100s to spare each month, it was highly unlikely that I would find an investment option that would earn me the same in interest or appreciation to make back my student loan interest. Now, the second mistake that I see most often is underestimating the power of paying off debt before increasing investments. Interestingly enough, the fear of missing out still motivated me to pay off the debt even faster so that I could get back to investing as soon as possible. The process came with many trade-offs, including downsizing from 2 cars to 1, foregoing some vacations, living off 1 income instead of 2, and carefully budgeting our daily expenses. There were definitely sacrifices in our discretionary expenses that many of our friends thought we were overly frugal about. But my husband and I surprised ourselves by paying off the $72,000 in 1 year instead of 2, and that encouraged me to exhaust all other options before ever taking on debt again. Once I built the courage to leave my day job, I opened up my own 401k, I maxed it out, I matched myself, and contributed more to profit sharing. We now have contributed at least $50,000 on an annual basis since becoming debt-free. That is a huge increase from the $6,000 per year we would have contributed to had we stayed in debt. We also feel so much more relief knowing we have fewer debt accounts to manage, especially since many of my peers are concerned about student loan repayments returning. Now, the last mistake that I see is withdrawing from retirement accounts too early. A record number of Americans used their 401k plans in 2022 for hardship withdrawals. This type of early withdrawal can help you in the face of emergencies like medical care or eviction. However, since the COVID-19 pandemic, I have seen people withdrawing for non-emergency expenses to start businesses, buy cars, or purchase discretionary items. Unfortunately, in our 20s, my husband and I thought of our 401k as a black hole for our money. I regret how we took tens of thousands of dollars out of retirement savings to buy an investment property because back then, we were not financially or emotionally mature enough to make good investments. Even with a tax bill and a 10% early withdrawal penalty, we cared more about short-term gratification than long-term patience and decided to withdraw the money anyway. We simply followed general trends and generic advice, even when those didn't necessarily make sense for us. So instead, I encourage you to use your retirement accounts to honor your future self. Since then, my husband and I have committed to learning and understanding the tenets of financial independence and calculating how much we need to retire at all, let alone early. We learned a modest lifestyle of $4,000 per month would require a FIRE, or financial independence retire early number, of at least $1.2 million in investments. Now that I know and understand how retirement plans work, I don't recommend doing that again for a discretionary purchase that you could save up for instead. Now we have each contributed the maximum allowed by the IRS, and if we ever have cash flow issues, rather than withdraw, we plan to pause our contributions into retirement instead. Now we look at the purpose of retirement accounts as saving up for our future selves and helping us save on taxes that we would otherwise have to pay in regular brokerage accounts. So by reframing your retirement accounts as your future freedom fund, rather than the boring accounts that most of us ignore, you can become a great investor without overcomplicating your strategy.
There is tremendous value in having someone in your corner who can provide you with a roadmap, someone to act as an objective sounding board, and someone who can point out your blind spots and correct your form. In the world of personal finance, these are known as financial advisors. But how do you determine whether and when you need one, what type of advisor is best for your needs, and how to select one? First, it's critical to understand the roles of a financial advisor. A financial advisor is often described as the quarterback of your financial team. Their role is to survey the entire landscape of your financial life, encompassing your current financial position, portfolio allocation, goals, financial beliefs, and values. Their leadership is crucial in prioritizing, strategizing, and executing your plan to help you accomplish your goals. This could include engaging other experts, such as an estate planning attorney or insurance broker, to ensure that all areas of your financial life are taken care of. The cornerstone offering of a financial advisor is the financial plan, which illustrates how income, expenses, and short and long-term goals all interact to impact financial stability throughout your lifetime. With the help of the financial plan, an advisor can identify possible issues far down the road that require course correction today to avoid, and offer insights on proactive measures to navigate and plan for them. Whether it's ensuring sufficient liquidity before welcoming a new family member, embarking on a sabbatical, or planning for a home purchase or retirement, the financial plan serves as a navigational tool throughout the advisory relationship. The best financial advisors will do more than just crunch the numbers. They'll help you develop a framework for financial decision-making. There are several situations when you may consider hiring a financial advisor. For example, if you have a large investment portfolio, above $250,000 or so. If you have a complex financial situation with several competing goals, if you're navigating a life transition such as a marriage, divorce, retirement, loss of a spouse, or receiving a large inheritance. Or even if you just want a second set of eyes on your finances, hiring a financial advisor could be the right course of action for you. Financial advisors can be found in 3 general flavors, differentiated by their level of human involvement, their cost structure, and the level of their tailored advice. Robo-advisors are algorithm-driven platforms that provide standardized portfolio allocations based on risk assessments. They offer cost-effective solutions with benefits such as consistent portfolio alignment and automated features like tax loss harvesting and ongoing rebalancing. Online financial advisors, a tier above robo-advisors, may offer additional access to a financial planning professional, while traditional financial advisors rely on human expertise and relationships for personalized advice tailored to individual client goals, risk tolerance, and financial situations. When looking for a financial advisor, there are several important qualifications and details to assess. The first, of course, being credentials and qualifications. Believe it or not, no credentials are required to hold yourself out as a financial advisor or financial planner. So it's especially important to look for credentials as an initial indicator of a professional's commitment to the industry and their competence. The gold standard qualification is the Certified Financial Planner, or CFP designation. This certification demonstrates comprehensive knowledge in financial planning, including investments, insurance, taxes, retirement, and estate planning. There are a handful of other credentials that indicate a high degree of experience and expertise in the profession, but just as not all professionals who hold themselves out to be financial advisors are credentialed, neither are they beholden to the same ethical standards. The highest ethical standard is known as the fiduciary duty. An advisor who has taken an oath to act as a fiduciary, so all CFP professionals, must put their clients' best interests ahead of their own. They must act with diligence, prudence, and skill in managing the client's affairs, and they must provide full transparency in all actions. While more experience does not guarantee quality, experience in both life and in the profession can help to broaden an advisor's perspective and refine their skills. Many advisors specialize in helping clients with very specific needs, such as those going through a divorce, LGBTQ+, doctors, etc. It can make sense to work with an advisor who regularly works with clients in a similar situation as you, because they'll have a deeper expertise in the unique challenges that you're facing. Most importantly, review an advisor's Form ADV to check for any disciplinary history. It's an excellent idea to speak with 2 or 3 advisors before making a selection. When hiring, you should always be on the lookout for red flags. Definitely trust your gut in this area. Lack of transparency, high-pressure sales tactics, and unrealistic promises can be indicators of an unethical advisor. Now, because we're talking about your hard-earned money here, it's a big decision and you should definitely do your due diligence. Write down the top 2 or 3 things you aim to achieve via a relationship with a financial advisor. Do some research to determine whether those can be accomplished via robo, online, or whether you'll need a traditional advisor. Then interview or research a couple of options and make a decision. Once you begin working with an advisor, you'll very quickly have a good idea of whether or not they're the right fit. Most importantly, do your research, make a decision, and take a step.